At that time, my whole life was just church, so I didn't really know anything else about being a kid out there.
Do you think religion ruined your childhood?
Very much.
Can you make a quick list of anything else that was like
Sinful.
considered sinful, but that was pretty dumb?
Yeah, I can. And he would come to the church very often, and he would talk about family, but he would bring things out that were absurd. And then my stepmom was like, okay, he gave you the basketball. And I was like, yeah. She's like, okay. She grabbed it, she went into the kitchen, and she grabbed the biggest knife she could find, and she dug it.
No way.
Like I said, at that time, my whole life was just church, so I didn't really know anything else about being a kid out there. It's just, I didn't.
There's no playtime.
No, there was like, yeah, I can go outside and play, but at the same time, it was normal when they said, okay, we're going to church and it's about 3 hours. Okay, whatever.
Do you think religion ruined your childhood?
Very much. Very much. Yeah, there's a story that I've told a couple friends of. I had a neighbor across the street, and he had like 4 basketballs, and one day he's like, "You want one?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he rolled it over the street, and I grabbed it. I played with it in front of the house, and I went to the back, and I showed my stepmom, and then my stepmom was like, "Okay, he gave you the basketball," and I was like, "Yeah." She's like, okay. She grabbed it. She went into the kitchen. And she grabbed the biggest knife she could find, and she dug it.
No way. Are you serious?
Yeah, she dug it. And she cut
God.
it. She cut it in 4 pieces.
Bro, that's so extra. You could have just popped it.
And then she gave him to me, and she's like, "I'm gonna give you the honors of throwing it away."
The honors.
Yeah.
Do you think your dad would have done the same thing?
No, my dad would have just told me to give it back, probably, but he wouldn't. He wouldn't have chopped it up. And then and I threw it away, and I was so confused. And all she told me was, "Las pelotas son del diablo," and that was it.
That was it.
That's
no
all I heard.
explanation.
From the devil?
Yeah.
No
Man,
explanation.
I remember that wearing a hat was from satanic.
Yeah.
And wearing your hat backwards was satanic.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I kind of grew up in a similar environment, but a little bit more liberal. So I wasn't allowed to watch Dragon Ball Z. I wasn't allowed to watch certain things.
Me either.
But at the same time, my mom and her friends would watch like scary movie in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
So like there was no balance.
Yeah,
You know what
that
I mean?
doesn't
It's
make
like,
sense.
you're not allowed to watch this, but here, let's watch a rated R movie right in front of my kid.
Right.
So, I mean, it's annoying. I mean,
Yeah.
as a kid, I was confused because I was like, okay, wearing a hat is bad, but then you're watching movies that and novela and TV shows that have really explicit things in front of me.
Right.
And I'm not gonna lie. I mean, my grandma would stay away from it because it was mainly my grandma that would push that onto like us.
Mm-hmm.
But that cripples you because it did to me. Like I was so annoyed. I mean, I got to a point where I don't know where do you draw the line of abuse, but my grandma was wild, dude. She would hit me all the time,
Well,
like
the
for
old timers,
anything.
you know?
For nothing.
I remember this
For
one
nothing.
time she grabbed a stick with thorns, and she didn't know it had thorns, and she smacked my back with that joint, bro. My whole back was bleeding, bro. It was bad, but it was because I threw a rock at a frog.
Yo.
Yeah, like I was like,
That's messed
what
up.
in the
Oh my
world?
God.
So it's like, I don't know. It was like, just dumb stuff.
Yeah,
right?
I've heard. I don't know. I'm Puerto Rican. It's a little different, but y'all, yeah.
Yeah, so
heard
Central America,
Americans, I don't know what is
the
wrong with
religion and the aspect of legalism in Central America hit hard.
Right.
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie. I mean, I'm pretty sure PR.
No. It's present there.
Yeah.
In the same degree, it's just not as common, right? I feel like Central America, it's like everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
And yeah, I mean that draws people away because
Right.
there's not a healthy balance.
Right. And it like at home it was just like whatever, but now in school life was a little bit different because I would dress different.
Uh-huh.
I would dress differently than all the kids. The one thing that my parents always made me do was tuck in my shirts, and everything I wore.
Did you wear button-ups?
No. I just any shirt I wore.
Oh, okay.
You had
Any
to tuck
shirt
it
I
in.
wore, I had to tuck it in.
I think your dad still tucks in his shirts too.
Yeah, he does it. He does it sometimes, but they were heavy on me. Like you need to tuck in your shirt.
Like t-shirt and jeans tucked in
Yes,
your shirt.
everything. I was always tucking in my
You
shirts.
also
And
had to
then,
wear a belt.
yep. And then in school, the kids they would ask me like, "Why you tucking your shirts?" And I would,
it's not a-
and then the only explanation I can give them was what my parents gave me, because I'm a kid of God, and kids of God have to wear their shirts in. That's it.
Yeah, that's the wackest. That's
And
the
then they would-
wackest
and they would
I
tell
smell
me-
bullying
So-
right there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not.
some of them would be like, "I'm a Christian," and I don't do it. And I'd be like, no, if you don't do it, you're not a Christian. You're not really a Christian. Some of them would be like, yeah, there was a church that was across the street, like not across the street, but if you go down the road, right across the street, when it does an intersection, there was a church, and it literally said Church of Christ. And he's like, yeah, I go to that church. I was like, that's not a Christian church,
bro.
And he was like, why? And I was like, because I've seen the people that come out of there, none of them look Christian, just because I saw the way they what they wore. So it was.
Dang, they were indoctrinating
Yeah.
you with all this judgment.
So it was like,
Dang.
it's like they teach you that automatically. You know, you as a child of God, you got to look different, you got to sound different, you got to seem different. Everything of you has to be different. Every kid in my church, as far as I knew, was the same way as I was. They probably didn't tuck in their shirts. I tell you that. But they were really like strict with everybody.
So worry about more about the image and the external than the internal.
I think you had said last time that you had a similar experience where what did you say? You said that they didn't explain to you, like they would never explain to you why things were bad.
Never. So one of the things that kind of annoyed me about going to church is the fact that they would tell me going to the beach, it's a sin. Going to Six Flags was a sin. Missing one Sunday was a sin. So if you missed, in the church that I went to, if you missed a Sunday, you were automatically looked at as suspicious. Like, what is wrong with them? What's going on? What did they do? What sin they committed? So it was like that kind of environment. And to be honest, man, I'm not gonna lie. The kids that I saw in that church were when they hit 18, they got pretty wild.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's because they were so restricted?
Yeah.
They didn't have the capacity to have a balance. Like they like, for example, with as a kid, you know you want to explore, you want to be curious, but you have the ability to do that while being innocent. But then you hit 18 and you're no longer have innocent motives. Right. So now you're being curious, and you're being curious about the wrong things. So when they don't allow the kid to 100% like develop in that area when they're growing up, they automatically lashed out when they get older.
Yeah, I heard a lot. I know people at our church that had that experience when they were younger. Yeah, they said they went to churches that were like super strict, and it just made them want to like break out from those rules. I think those religious places, they tend to forget, yes, we're not of this world, but we still are in the world, right? We're still here. We still have to, I mean, if our job is to go out and save people, we still have to relate to them. We still have to be human. We can't just be like, no, you don't tuck your shirt in, you don't wear a tie, you don't do this, you can't associate with those people. No, we're here to help those people.
And the fact that you're gonna like demand people to wear skirts, or like the women to wear skirts, no makeup. But what happens when you go to the mall?
Yeah, it's like,
what happens when you go to the mall?
That's cool. That's one of the things that I question now in the teen years. I question that, like, why is it bad for me? Like, for me as a guy, why is it bad for me to wear shorts? And one time the pastora told me, she literally said this. She's like, hermano Kevin, los muscles. And I was like, what are you talking about? What muscles? De los pies, se los van a ver. I was like, but so? Like,
yeah, so if you don't speak Spanish, he's the pastor's wife said that he can't wear shorts because the leg muscles were gonna cap some lady.
Exactly. Yeah. That's I remember that's the only explanation I got of that.
That's insane.
That's it.
So basically, you better cover yourself so that I don't fall into sin.
Right.
So that's where my issue is with this type of churches and this type of mentalities, because you rather adjust people to your condition than adjust your heart to the condition that God wants you to be in.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you are gonna see wild things in the mall,
right,
or when you go to Walmart. So what do you do then? You're sinning.
Yeah.
So what makes a difference between a Sunday and a Saturday afternoon that you go to the store? It shouldn't be a difference. Church is not a one-day thing. Church is,
it's every day.
It's every day. Like, and I shouldn't even say church. Being a Christian, following Christ,
it's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. It's a thing that you have to apply it every single day.
Yeah.
And then you can't accustom people because of your sins or because of your weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was, and the thing is, one of the things that I saw repetitively of the teachings of the pastor was he would prohibit things specifically because another pastor told him a story of what happened in a church, and as a result, he's like, we're not letting that happen here. For example, he would say, if you see two jóvenes, go to the restroom, let the female go in first and hold the joven, and wait, and then until she comes back, then you can let him go. And they said specifically just for that meeting of holiness, it needs to be like that.
Right.
And they're like, because there was this one girl of this other church that she would go downstairs and she would let the boy touch her. And they were doing stuff. And we're not letting that happen in this church. So they implemented that for the fastings they would do with the youth, or the small services they did with the youth. That was an implementation.
Uh-huh.
That if a female was going to the bathroom and there was a guy going, they would let the female go first, just for that. And that was for like everything. For a lot of the teachings was like that. Like, you should see that rule book. I don't know if my dad still has it. My guy, that rule book was like this. It was like the Federal Motor Vehicle Association rule book. It was really thick.
Nice.
Out of all the rules and all the teachings, everything.
Uh-huh.
And they would tell you this is wrong and why. This is wrong and why. And then, but it was all based on because someone came up to the pastor and said, we need to do this because this is bad. Okay, let's implement it.
To a certain degree too, there's still people. I mean, I've seen some posts in Facebook and social media. People saying if you have a beard, you better shave it.
Mm-hmm.
If you have long hair, you better shave it.
If you don't read the King James Bible version.
Yeah, that is sinful.
Yep.
But I'm like, is it really worth your time posting something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, at the end of the day,
They'll call us monkeys.
God forbid.
Yeah.
But God forbid something happens to us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we get called to the presence of God. You really think God is gonna say, you're not coming in because your hair was too long, or because you had too much facial hair?
Uh-huh.
No. That's baloney. I'm sorry. That is
That's baloney.
In a nice way. That is dumb.
Yeah.
That's the nicest way I can put it, because there's biblical backups. There's Bible verses as well that when you realize what you're reading, all of that doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Of course, we shouldn't take it to the other side and not take care of ourselves. We should have hygienes. We should try to look decent. We should try to, keep ourselves clean. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you justifying or you shaming somebody just because they want to have a beer.
Right.
Yeah.
Or have long hair.
Crazy.
Who cares?
Yeah. I have, before we move forward to your middle and teenage, I have two quick questions. One, so you said balls in sports was a sin.
Mm-hmm.
Can you make a quick list of anything else that was like
Sinful.
considered sinful, but that was pretty dumb?
Yeah, I can. If you had any type of social media, you were sinning.
Like just having the account.
What was it,
just
High
just
Five
having-
back then? MySpace?
Facebook,
It's MySpace, he's sinful.
Yeah, it was sinful. Most of the times, these things would surge out of nowhere. Like, for example, there was this preacher one time that would come to the church very oftenly, very famous preacher in Central America, and he would come to the church very oftenly, and he would talk about family. That's a lot. That's what he really would talk about, family. But he would bring things out that were absurd. He'd be like, you let your kids stay home from church? Yeah, that's why he's the way he is. And what he stay home watching? SpongeBob. He's like, you know what SpongeBob is? He's like, yeah, SpongeBob has this one episode. He says that there's this episode where SpongeBob has a little ball, and you know what that ball represents? Pokemon. And you know the deal with Pokemon.
Oh my God!
And people would applaud. People would applaud.
SpongeBob and Pokemon. I don't know about that.
It was just so weird. So like that's when things started getting eliminated. So now I can't watch SpongeBob.
So cartoons are sin too.
Yeah. There was certain
VeggieTales all day.
Yeah, there was a lot of cartoons I could not watch. Like Disney Channel. Pass it real quick because it was a sin.
None of Disney.
That was a sin.
What about Nickelodeon?
Nick, it was certain shows that I could watch. Very certain shows. Like most of the things were in the morning. Nick Jr.
Oh, okay. What about Cartoon Network?
Yeah, and I mean back in the day, Cartoon Network had a lot of the things that are now on Adult Swim.
I remember they had Billy and Mandy too. With Beth.
Yeah, automatically, if they saw the skull, no.
Yeah,
That's from the devil. That's it.
What about Boomerang? The classics.
Oh, Boomerang was pretty cool.
The Smurfs?
No,
Yeah.
Smurfs.
What?
Sin.
Oh my God.
Because there was a warlock. They said.
So you didn't have a childhood.
Yeah, so it was like
no sports, no
a
cartoons.
lot of things that make up a kid were
Gone.
It was just
Out
gone.
the window.
And then
What about video games?
Sin. That was the worst thing.
What did you do?
That was the worst thing you can get your kid. They said.
Video games?
Yep. They said
What?
that they
Addiction.
one of the teachings that they told us
yeah.
was they were like, you guys know the chip that's inside the Nintendo system? Yeah, the serial number is 666.
Oh,
And every parent would believe
can't
that,
take you seriously.
and they wouldn't buy the kids that. But
Yeah.
but look, there was
That is-
there was
yo,
one
but
time.
but don't you think that's okay? Number one, all of those people, they're gonna be held accountable for all of that, and hopefully they come to a realization that that's all baloney. But at the same time, this is the church's fault too, because people don't read their Bible.
Yeah, that's
And-
what I'm saying. Like, how did they just eat this up?
Yeah.
Like, they
Yeah.
don't read.
Because I remember this one time on that church that I used to go to, the guy literally was preaching, and he said that if you're fat, if you're obese, if you are obese, that you are in deep sin, that you're living in gluttony, and that you will have no part. You will have no part in heaven.
Yeah.
Like you need to repent and you
That's
need to
such
start
a-
a diet.
That's such a mistake.
And I was
man.
like, bro, like half of those people were fat in there. Like, I was like, what is it?
bro, there's so many Central Americans,
And,
bro.
and then he was preaching. He had a belly too. So I'm like,
yo, what? What a hypocrite.
so like it's a little bit like
Dang, that's Matthew, bro. That's the Sermon on the Mount.
Yeah.
I was just reading that with my team the other day. He
Oh,
was
yeah?
like, before you call out your brothers, the
Oh,
Steins,
check the log.
check
that
the
you have.
log in your own
Yeah.
eye.
Check the big log that you have in your eye. So that's what I was gonna say. Like a lot of these preachers, I feel like they don't live what they preach. And part of it, people end up leaving the church. People end up hurt. People end up abandoning God's calling. They end up being hurt by the church, not by God.
Yeah, that is true. Because one time I remember I was scrolling through the pictures on the church's computer, and then I saw a picture of the pastor's son on a motorcycle wearing shorts. And I told my dad, and my dad's like, "Take a picture of it."
But to put him on blast.
And I used his phone and I took a picture. He's like, that way they can't go on you later on. But I still was not allowed to wear shorts. Nothing
that's
changed.
fine.
But see, that's the thing. That type of culture, I'm like, yo, I wouldn't want to go to a church like that. Like when
No.
you're constantly trying to like look to what the other person is doing wrong. And I feel like Christianity
You're always being watched.
Yeah, but I feel like to this day we have that bad culture.
Yeah.
Like we're not united, and we're supposed to be the most united people on earth.
Yep.
We're so divided. Man.
And we're so divided because of different mentality,
Yeah.
different beliefs of different things.
Yeah.
We are so divided, and it's sad. It breaks my heart, truly.
Really sad.
But at the same time, like we see people that convert, like you artists that convert, and there's people commenting, "Oh, I give him 6 months, and he's gonna go back to the world."
Yeah, like
Instead of praying for them, instead of actually like
The attitude
encouraging
is
them.
so twisted.
Yeah, it's like the opposite. It's like you're not trying to encourage people. You're actually hoping that they would
they get lost.
go back.
Yeah.
And it's not God's heart.
And I think a big mistake, a misconception is that a lot of these churches have is that a sin that you commit, like you're already Christian, and they think that some sin that you commit is gonna make you go to hell. That
Yeah.
is such a that's taking away the power of the blood of Jesus. If you're a Christian, if you got God in your heart, you accepted Him.
Yeah, they'd say
we're always gonna sin. No sin you
I
can
heard that-
commit
I
will
heard
take
that-
that away.
I heard condemnation so much.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
oh, you did
So
this,
much.
you're going to hell now.
Yeah.
You need to
Like-
you already accepted Jesus.
Like to the people out there that be talking about, oh, you got, you're in sin because you have long hair, because you have ear piercings, because this and that. What do you do at night when you're alone and nobody's watching?
Mm-hmm.
If we check your history,
What
what are we gonna find?
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? Like just because you sin in the darkness doesn't allow you to criticize people that
Right.
could potentially be showing their sin in public, because there's certain sins that are more, I guess, eye appealing,
Yeah.
I guess,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the eye. But then at the same time, you're criticizing people, like the Bible verse that you were reading. You're criticizing people when you should be criticizing yourself and developing yourself.
And
You're
God-
so worried about other people when you should be worried about your calling, your
Yeah.
ministry,
Yeah.
Right.
and yourself.
And-
You sit around, criticize, Yeah, this gets me heated,
Yeah,
bro.
it does, right,
You sit around, you type comments on other people that are actually striving to spread the gospel, and instead of listening to the message that they have to say to the world, you criticize their hair, you criticize their you know their appearance, you criticize the fact that they have tattoos, instead of praying for them in private, instead of, if you have an issue, reach out to them, ask for some sort of explanations or some sort of dialogue where you can actually get to know the background of the person. But you jump into conclusions with no explanations, yet you're at home probably not going to church and believe that
you're still going to heaven.
Yeah, God is real, and I'm a Christian, but I don't go to church. I'm not serving. I'm not in any ministry. You're not doing anything productive for the kingdom of God, yet you're lashing out on all these people.
Right.
Get him, bro. Get him, bro. Jesus called those people. He literally says hypocrite with exclamation mark.
Right.
Matter of fact, I would say the people who killed Jesus was not the world.
Dang.
No, it wasn't the world.
The people who killed Jesus was his own people.
That's deep.
The religious people.